You're probably thinking, oh my God, but I'm not a performer, I'm not an athlete, right? If you wash dishes, you probably had this moment before. Do you get what I'm saying? If you drive a car, you probably had this moment before. You get what I'm saying? So as you're washing your dishes, you're not thinking about it. Then at the end of it, you kind of, oh, it's finished. Right? And so in subconscious flow, everything's perfect. It works. It works automatically. A lot of the time, I like to say it works automagically. Because it's almost like I'm manifesting effortlessly. I'm not even trying, I'm not thinking about it, and then yet it's happening. When you come to a high level of consciousness, you will start to realize nothing is random. Let me tell you something. Very interesting story. So, ever since, because being a coach, being a speaker, being somebody, an impact maker, really, really did change my life. And I know I say this many times in different events, but it really did. It's because I was the shy kid for all of my life, afraid to speak out. And to be able to say now impacting 100 million lives around the world is just like, what are you talking about? That don't make sense. But because it changed my life so much back then, and I'm the biggest testimonial to my mentor back then, investing 15,000 euros on a speaking course, I'll be his testimonial every single day. I'm his walking success. I'm his walking testimonial here. And what happened after that was a few things. The first thing that happened, I'd like everyone to write this down. The first thing that happened as a speaker, I was the conscious speaker. And so what I would do, and let me tell you how it looked like. I still remember. Why? Because I was practicing this template every single day. That's how I know. And let me tell you what it looks like. They'll say, okay, welcome on stage. I'll come on, everyone, round of applause. Then I'll come to the front. How many of you would like to make more money in your lives? Thank you. How many of you would like to have more time in your lives? Thank you. My name is, and today I'll be sharing with you 3 secrets to having more money and more time in your life. First of all, before I start, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone for coming to this event. So please, first of all, give yourselves a big round of applause. I could do this, I could do it word for word another million times. Why? Because I learned it. And by the way, when I spoke like that, people already gave me that comment of, wow, confident speaker. You wouldn't think there's anything wrong with that person. Maybe a little bit stiff, maybe a little bit robotic in comparison, but actually, on the grand scheme of things, when you go to an event and the presentation, you kind of expect them to be that way anyway. Are you guys understanding what I'm saying? It's normal. But you would still say they're confident. You wouldn't say this person's shy because they're expressing okay. And I was doing this consciously. I was consciously trying to remember my words. I was consciously remembering where I'm standing, how I'm pointing, where I'm looking, which hand is raising, where my other hand is when it's raising, where I'm walking, how I'm looking at the people, how many seconds I'm looking at the people for. All this is a craft that you can master. Communication is a craft that you can master. And I spent so much time learning the psychology of how energy flows, how to get these transactions, right? How to get this conversation going. How to understand human needs, how to understand psychological behavior. So I dedicated my time to it because why? Because I wanted to master that thing. But let me tell you something. When I was a speaker, trying to perform everything consciously, I would always have 2 types of outcomes. And let me tell you what the outcome was. First outcome was, pretty happy with my performance today. Didn't make any mistakes. Remembered all my words. And I think people were generally happy. That was one outcome. Second outcome was, what happened today? Oh my God, it's my off day. Really not feeling it today. I don't know what it is. Probably been too busy recently, too much stress, not enough sleep, whatever. Don't know what it is. I screwed up a few lines, man. I was supposed to say this, but I forgot a few lines. So that was the two outcomes I would get performing consciously. And then what I realized was, and this is very important for you because this is what we're learning to reprogram, is the subconscious. Actually, I didn't need to do so much subconscious reprogramming work. Because when we talk about subconscious reprogramming, I want you to realize there's a few ways to subconscious reprogram. And the ways I would usually break it down to, I want you to write this down. And this, also some of the things we will be covering, okay, here at this event. Number one is what? Is what we call a cognitive reframing. And what that means is by pulling out all of the not so empowering beliefs and then fueling it with the empowering beliefs. You get what I'm saying? So that's like ripping out all the disbelief and the stutter and the problems, and there's always a root cause to all the problems you have, whether fear or whatever you have, anxiety, right? So it's about ripping it out and then reprogramming with a pleasure relation, which we're going to dive into these things, okay? Now, so that's one way to do it, but actually, I didn't do too much of this. Only parts. Maybe only so much that you will experience these 3 days. Okay? The second part, which I intensely, this was the most intense for me, this part. What was it? This part was the download and the practice. So what does this mean? It means the download of the new software. What are the tools? And continuous practice. What does this mean? Repetition. Just repetition, just over and 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 over again. You can also categorize things like affirmations to be something like this. Okay? Now, some people, they usually ask, they say, you do affirmations work? Well, let me tell you what affirmations does. And maybe this will give you a clue to, hey, does it work? Okay? So, what will happen is, so let's say, for example, you have your coffee bean again, okay? And then here, we have all of this negative, okay? These negative roots. And by the way, can somebody express, please, because I've taught this before many times, right? Most of your negative programming is done between what ages, please? Most of your negative programming is done between the ages of 0 to 7, because this is when our minds are more in what we call a theta brainwave, the middle ground between the conscious and the unconscious mind. Do you guys realize kids learn faster than you? How many of you realize that? Right? Kids will learn fast. You take a 6-year-old, learn piano same time as you, they will kick your butt. You stand no chance at all. They will kick your butt. After a few weeks, they'll be playing some things, and you'll be like, oh my God, I'm still on the first week. You know, what's going on? Why? It's because of the way their brainwave is in that moment. They absorb things like a sponge. So what this also means, for those of you who don't know and haven't heard of this before, basically, by observing there's been research on this, by the way, by observing somebody's upbringing from 0 to 7 years old, you can already pretty much predict the rest of their life, how it's going to pan out. Are they going to be rich? Are they going to be in a loving relationship? Are they going to be successful? Are they going to be happy? You can pretty much predict by observing what happened from 0 to 7. Now, what does this mean to you? Well, it means pretty much your current reality right now that you see, the things you like or you don't like, the blockages that you feel, was programmed way, 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 way back. Do you get what I'm saying? I added more ways because I've seen some of you have some grey hairs and way, 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 way back. Okay? So, zero to 7 is that theta brainwave. Now, the interesting thing is this. So you're saying, does affirmations work? Well, what are you doing? Well, you're doing, let's say, 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. Some of you, real hardcore affirmation people, 1 hour until your mouth is dry. Right? You drink a gallon of water after 1 hour of affirmations. Well, guess what it does? Well, what is this? Well, first of all, you acknowledge these are what? These are the weeds. If you have grass, you grow plants, you do gardening, you understand how this game works, really. It's very simple. Well, what you're doing here is you're planting new seeds. That's what affirmations is doing. You say, does affirmations work? Well, this is what happens. So does it work? If you do enough of it, it works. You get what I'm saying? You just keep going. It will work. These will try, just keep going. Just keep going at it. Right? Is it easier if you do this one first? Of course. Of course, if you cognitive reframe first, you pull out all the roots, then you layer on top. Obviously, that's better, right? If you pull out the weeds and then do it, obviously it's better. But if you were to do affirmations alone, would that work too? Well, yeah, it just takes a little longer, a little bit more work, but repetition. We'll still be able to cover it all up as a whole, as a general gist of things. Looks pretty good now. It's starting to look pretty good. And those weeds that want to kind of come out is kind of feeling a little bit lost because, you see, you don't see it anymore. You don't really see it anymore. And this is something that I realized because I didn't do so much on, I did a bit. I did maybe like 3 days of training just like you on mindset. I remember investing in a mindset in an investment course or something, mindset reprogramming course. It was a 3-day course. So it did some 3 days, but out of 7 years, I wouldn't say all of it was ripped out. But what I realized was the majority of my work was done on this thing. Why? Because I would practice religiously. The thing I wanted to master, the thing I wanted to get right, although I was no good at it whatsoever, I was really not good at it. I sucked at speaking. I sucked at confidence. I was really bad at it. I would stutter like crazy. I would pause. I would blank out. Anybody ever done that before? You said, boom. It's like, where's the lyrics gone? It was here before I came on stage. It's like, oh, where's it gone? Right? Just disappears. And I don't know what's going on. Until I continued to repeat. And what I realized was, right? And that's why I say, the easiest way for any of you to access subconscious flow, right? And I want you to put in here, by the way, I want you to put here, this is optimal. When you are in subconscious flow, you are performing at your optimal. Those of you who are dancers, singers, performers, anything like that, you'll know what I'm talking about. You'll know what I'm talking about, what subconscious flow is. You perform at your optimal. You don't think. There's a few symptoms. You don't know how to recognize it? Well, let me tell you what will happen. You don't think. That's one symptom. You kind of sometimes, the second symptom is, you sometimes feel a bit of an observer. It's kind of like, I think I know I'm doing this, but I'm watching myself do this, or hearing myself do this really weird thing. Anybody ever had a moment like that before? Right? And by the way, you're probably thinking, oh my God, but I'm not a performer, I'm not an athlete, right? If you wash dishes, you probably had this moment before. Do you get what I'm saying? If you drive a car, you probably had this moment before. You get what I'm saying? So as you're washing your dishes, you're not thinking about it. Then at the end of it, you kind of, oh, it's finished. Right? And so in subconscious flow, everything's perfect. It works. It works automatically. A lot of the time, I like to say it works automagically. Because it's almost like I'm manifesting effortlessly. I'm not even trying, I'm not thinking about it, and then yet it's happening. So that's your subconscious flow.